Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, scientists continue to work on a COVID-19 vaccine. We'll take a look at the progress and find out how the coronavirus pandemic has actually helped a local produce store.
We'll be on the drier side over the next couple of days, but soggy weather returns by the time we get into the end of your weekend. I'll have those details right now at 5:30.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Governor Andy Beshear released new COVID-19 numbers just a few moments ago. There are now 14,617 coronavirus cases in Kentucky. 280 are newly reported today. The governor also reported 8 new deaths. 546 Kentuckians have now lost their life to the virus. As of today, at least 375,636 people have received a test, and at least 3,719 Kentuckians have recovered from the virus. We do know at least one case is associated with the Starbucks in London. The local health department there says the risks to the public is considered low. We will have more on that case and others confirmed in our area as the information is released by local health departments on our website at WYMT.com. Scientists around the world are working faster than ever to come up with a vaccine for COVID-19. What normally takes years to develop is being condensed into months. CBS's Ian Lee brings us the latest on a vaccine trial in London, England.
This could be the vaccine to help defeat the coronavirus, but there's no guarantee.
I wouldn't be working on this trial if I didn't feel cautiously optimistic that we will see great immune responses in our participants. But there's still a long way to go to evaluate this vaccine.
The vaccine trial at Imperial College London is beginning to test on people, a milestone only a dozen other laboratories have reached. Kathy is one of the college's 300 volunteers.
I think it came from not really knowing what I could do to help, and this turned out to be something that I could do, and understanding that it's not likely that things will get back to normal until there is a vaccine, so wanting to be part of that progress as well.
If this trial goes well, 6,000 more volunteers will be immunized in the fall. Researchers may also need to test overseas in virus hotspots to increase exposure. Currently, there are more than 120 coronavirus vaccines in development worldwide. Researchers say that several vaccines will need to work for widespread immunization. One extra advantage this vaccine offers is size. Since the vaccine is created artificially without the need to grow the virus, researchers say it can easily be manufactured on a large scale.
It means that we can make the equivalent of 2 million doses in the volume of a litre. So you imagine a litre bottle of lemonade, that would have 2 million doses in it.
If ultimately proven safe and effective, Imperial College hopes to have enough doses for 40 million people by next summer. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Oxford University in the UK is also conducting human trials. Researchers there hope to have a vaccine ready to go by this fall. 3 trials in the U.S. have also reached the human testing phase. Bonnaroo 2020 in Manchester, Tennessee is officially canceled because of COVID-19. Anyone who has already purchased tickets can request a refund online. The website says a virtual gathering is planned for September 24th through the 27th. More details about the virtual gathering are expected to be released soon. Bonnaroo officials say they hope to continue the festival in 2021. And the pandemic has affected musicians locally as well. Without crowds, it makes it nearly impossible for musicians to get their usual income. To make matters worse, this is peak season for bands. It's the time when wedding planners and venues are looking for entertainment.
For the month of May alone, we lost over $1,000. Some of my musicians who this is their only source of income, they've had to go ahead and try to find other jobs.
Some musicians like Rayshawna Campbell have full-time jobs outside of music, but they say it's hard right now for nationally known artists who are not getting paid for doing summer tours. In recent months, many people made trips to the grocery store only to find limited produce or other items that you wanted to buy. WYMT's Madison program has more on a local produce stand that opened in February right before the COVID-19 pandemic hit.
If you drive down Highway 15 in Letcher County, you will see Polly's Produce.
We stopped at a gas station. You know how women like to shop. She come out with her hands full and I was pumping gas. And there was a little bit produce stand. And I said, baby, God wants us to open up a produce stand. She said, you're crazy.
From that idea sparked at a gas station to reality.
We were under a tent when we started out with the 1 box of peaches and the 1 box of tomatoes.
It was crazy. She said we'd be broke in 2 months. And God's just blessed us so much, I can't even explain it.
A business growing faster and bigger than the couple ever imagined.
We try to do all the local fruits and vegetables from your sugar snap peas, green beans, your potatoes, cucumbers, tomatoes.
Despite only open for 5 months and not to mention in the midst of a pandemic, their focus remains serving the people in their community in the place they've always called home.
That was one thing that we promised ourselves when we came back home, that if we had to price it so expensive, we wouldn't have it because it just wouldn't be feasible for the people here.
But for them, it's more than just the produce they sell.
Beyond blessed.
I can't explain what God has done for us in this community. It's not us, it's all God.
Having faith in a plan written all along. In Letcher County, Madison Program, WYMT Mountain News.
Outside of produce, Polly's also sells propane and Amish-built sheds and cabins. Spectators will be allowed at the Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs officials say they consulted with Governor Andy Beshear and health officials to come up with safe guidelines. There will be reduced capacity to limit crowd density Derby weekend. They say general admission tickets that only grant access to the infield will be limited to a specific number of people as well. Guests are encouraged to wear masks at all times. Derby week is still a ways off. It will be September 1st to the 5th. An East Tennessee man has pleaded guilty to illegally shooting and killing an elk back in December. The elk was part of a university study. Wildlife officials say Sean Doney pleaded guilty Tuesday to breaking hunting-related state laws in the North Cumberland Wildlife Management Area. The elk was wearing a GPS collar as part of a 3-year research study by the University of Tennessee Department of Forestry, Wildlife and Fisheries. Doney is facing 30 days in jail.
It was just an absolutely gorgeous day here in the mountains. Still is. I was outside earlier for the 4, but there was too many bugs. I had to come inside for the 5:30 and 6. But we are still seeing that beautiful sunshine across the area. Looking at US 119, US 23, we've seen that mixture of kind of sun and clouds throughout the day. We've seen those beautiful white puffy clouds just on and off, and you can see that here as we look on top of the National Weather Service camera in Jackson. A little bit warmer, 83 degrees, but the dew point lower 60s. So very comfortable. I'm not having to deal with that humidity quite yet. So most of us into about the lower 80s right now. Cool spot of 77 in Wise, 80 in Prestonsburg and Pikeville, 82 down into Harlan and over into parts of Williamsburg. Now looking ahead tomorrow, more sunshine, going to be another gorgeous day. Saturday is going to be a little bit warmer. Some stray rain chances are possible, so you want to keep that WYMT weather app handy if you are going to be outside. And sadly, Sunday's looking pretty soggy. We're going to see some heavy rain start to return to the mountains, and it looks like it sticks around for quite some time. I'll have more details on that coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. Hundreds of people gathered in Frankfort today demanding justice for Brianna Taylor. Protesters say they are looking to gain justice for Taylor and all the other black men and women that have died at the hands of police officers. Louisville Metro Police fired one of the officers involved in Taylor's shooting, but they say that's not enough.
Thank you. Because it is you standing out here that's going to keep shining a light on Brianna's name. And what we need is justice for our sister Brianna, and that's why we are here today.
People at the rally said they want to see all the officers involved in Taylor's death held accountable. National Guardsmen were deployed today in Washington, D.C. to help protect monuments and memorials from potential damage by demonstrators. Officials with the Washington, D.C. National Guard already announced they had 400 troops on standby. The U.S. Park Police requested backup to prevent protesters from toppling monuments. Police stopped protesters from toppling a controversial statue of President Andrew Jackson earlier this week. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, now might be the time to consider refinancing. We'll look at some of your options.
And the nicer weather continues Friday, but showers and storms move in for the weekend. I'll have a look at that weekend forecast coming up.